Very, very, very good morning, good evening, good afternoon to everyone. So, today's session, my dear friends, the 12 virtues of spiritual abundance. Let us understand it more and more deeper way. So then we are all ready, we are all equipped with what is coming ahead of us. What is the future hold for us? And what is it that we need to cultivate in ourselves, especially in our heart? Because your heart is your weapon and your mind is your tool that we need to equip ourselves. So that is where we all lie in, and we have discussed about 6 virtues or treasures that we have understood yesterday. And today we are going to understand about the other 6 treasures, or the the abundance techniques, as we say. So I hope you're all ready with your pens and papers and ready to learn today along with me. I also wish to learn today a lot along with you. So the 7th point for spiritual abundance, the 7th treasure for spiritual abundance, is the urge to serve, or the sense of service. And whenever we talk about abundance, it is all about, getting one or getting things. If I sell you something, I get something. So that is a transaction. That is a give and take thing. It is an agreement between 2 persons or more than 2 persons. That if I do something to you, I'll get something in return. And that is how a deal is made, a contract is made, or an agreement is made, that if you do this, if you do that, then I'll get this. So that's a transaction. And we're not talking about transactions here. We are talking about serving without any expectations. And that is a treasure. And the awareness has to be there, because you innately, you know that if you do something, you will get it. You will get something back somewhere in the future. And that also when you most require it. So doing something without expectation is something which we all need to imbibe in ourselves. Selflessly. You just do it because you want to do it. You love to do it. You love to be that. And service is all about doing something without expectation. Again, charged with beauty, goodness, and truth. If possible, please write these 3 words on a sheet of paper, on a chart of paper, and stick it on your wall, so that you get reminded of these 3 words that we all need to follow whenever we say, think, or do something. Beauty, goodness, and truth. Beauty, goodness, and truth. So this is the next treasure that we are going to talk about. Serving without expectation. Patri ji had no expectations other than Dhyan Jagat, Shraddha Jagat, and Pyramid Jagat. He gave in his 1000% to teach meditation, to make everyone vegetarian. He put in his 1001% into this without expecting materialistic things, so as to say. But Patri ji is a very, very, very rich man, isn't it? So doing service without expectation is very difficult, but that is what we need to do. And such a service increases the trust, the respect, and the love of people, which Patri ji has promoted. He has gained all these things. And service means to give manifestation to the beauty, love, and joy that you have in your heart. That you have in your heart, my dear friends. The love, the beauty, the joy, are in existence in you into manifestation only through your practical, creative service. And there's no other way to do it. And there's absolutely no other way to do it. How do you define what you do as service? If you're expecting someone to give you importance, if you're expecting someone to give you positions, if you're expecting someone to do something for you in return of what you're doing, then that is not called as service. Delete the expectations, and that is called as service. Putting your efforts without the expectations is called service. If you put in expectations there, then that becomes a transaction. It can be in any form. You can expect returns in any form. But if you expect something, that is not called as service. That is not called as being selfless. So, doing selfless service is what is a treasure for spiritual abundance. And we know that nature wants all her resources to be enjoyed by man, so that, that he unfolds and progresses on the path of perfection. And the laws of nature are 1,000,000 times more accurate than our computers. And any service rendered and not paid for is recorded by the laws of nature. And in due time, it is paid to the server with interest. And that is why our service for others must not turn into demands of payment or excessive payment. Know that it will come back to you with interest. And that is all we need to know. That is all we need to understand. It will come back to you. So is it possible for you to do this without expectation? Do something, serving people without expectation. Can you do that? Or has everything in our life become a transaction? Everything. Relationships, work, friendships, group work, everything. Has it become a jungle of expectations? And the laws of nature help us to become prosperous. Because only a truly prosperous man can help. How many people has Patriji helped? And some people may argue that, a help should be given only when they ask for it. No. You can help a person by serving him and giving him a purpose. So many people have benefited through meditation, through Patriji. And they are so happy now doing meditation, leading a sattvic life. You have received help at the right time. You have, got help from that person. And that is a law of nature, my dear friends. You get help when you need the most, when you have done selfless work, selfless service, sacrificial service. And the real and true prosperity starts from spiritual prosperity, my dear friends. And that creates mental, emotional, and physical prosperity. The energy flows from above. Please remember this point, my dear friends. The energy flows from above. And in such a state, a person becomes a treasury for who all are in need. For everyone who is in need, he becomes a treasury. Patriji is a living example. I would say living example. Because he is always in our vision, in our thinking, in our heart. So that is the seventh spiritual abundance, seventh spiritual treasure, which is called as selfless service, doing service without expectations, the urge to serve, the urge to give service without a single minute particle of expectation. Or if I teach meditation here, I will be given importance. That expectation itself ruins everything. Or if I help that person by teaching meditation, that person will be indebted to me. No, why am I teaching meditation? Because I want to teach meditation. That is it. That is the that should be the first stop of everything that you do. If you want to do selfless service, selfless service is something that you do without, zero expectations. That someone will give me some title, they will felicitate me in front of everyone. That is why teaching meditation, then that is not called as selfless service. Let's do selfless service. We are doing this because I want to serve. I'm doing this only because I want to serve, and that is selfless service. That is a real treasury, my dear friends. So that is the seventh treasure that we have to cultivate in ourselves. And the eighth treasure that we are talking about to talk about is the sense of harmlessness. The eighth treasure is this sense of harmlessness. And to harm someone means to prevent or delay our own evolution, hurting our own vehicles, and creating obstacles to our path or misleading towards the wrong direction. Harmlessness towards ourselves and towards others. And harm can be done through our thoughts, low-level imaginations, words, emotions, and actions. If I'm silently abusing someone, mentally abusing someone in my mind, does it mean that you're not being harmful? That you're being harmless? No, you're still being harmful to others by abusing someone in your mind, by beating someone in your mind. You don't have to put it verbally. You don't have to act. You don't have to actually physically beat that person. Even this is violence. And this is harmful. While you think that you're actually beating the other person, you're actually destroying yourself. And that is very, very harmful for yourself. And you're actually creating obstacles for yourself if you're doing that, if you're being harmful. And harm can be done through many levels, isn't it, my dear friends? It can be verbal, it can be thoughts, it can be your emotions, it can be your actions. In any which way, you can really harm others. And sometimes we do harm to people where we do not meet our responsibilities. When we don't meet our responsibilities, that is when we start harming people. You can give it a much deeper thought into this. And you can maybe study your past behavior, that when you don't fulfill your responsibilities, that is when you become harmful. And we first harm ourselves in trying to harm others. The first step is to harm yourself first, than to harm others. And prosperity and abundance cannot be ours when we harm others. And prosperity and abundance cannot grow if there is no harmlessness. An intelligent businessman wants to have healthy, happy people as his customers or co-workers. And prosperity cannot be achieved single-handedly. And each harm you do to others decreases your income, and when multiplied, prepares your downfall. For example, I start a business and create a product which looks very attractive, but slowly, it becomes a poison in the customers' bodies. What happens? You're actually harming the people. And you cannot build a business on harmfulness. And in olden times, they used to say, you cannot grow into a big tree if you cut down your own branches. What do you say, my dear friends? And those who hurt the branches hurt the tree. And a harmful person radiates infectious emanations from his aura. Harmfulness is the result of an inner decay, a decomposition of the subtle bodies or of obsession. Just tell me something, my dear friends. If you're decayed internally, can you do something really? Can you achieve abundance outside of you? And even if you achieve some abundance outside of yourself, can you sustain it? Will it be there? Or will that be also decayed? And harmlessness is a great treasure, my dear friends. And as we increase our harmlessness, our aura shines with a splendid color. How is your aura? And devas love pure colors, and they give their inspiration and energy to you because of your pure color and fragrant emanation. If your emotional body is decayed, if your mental body is decayed, and if you are staying impure, do you think the honeybees will come to you? Honeybees don't come to decayed flowers. Honeybees come to only fresh flowers, freshly blossomed, beautiful flowers. And devas are attracted to those. How do you attract the devas? Even in meditation. By imbibing all these treasures. And a harmless person inspires cooperation. And the right people come and give their help, their advice, and even their money. Harmlessness is a great magnet, my dear friends. We might underestimate or say that how can harmlessness do all these things? Yes, it will do this. Just try to cultivate this treasure in yourself and see how abundance stays with you forever. And harmlessness prevents you from using your money or wealth in destructive ways. And harmlessness makes you use your money and wealth in constructive, creative ways. And if you do not have the treasure of harmlessness in your heart, all that you will have will eventually build a terrible karma on your path. I want to become successful, but at what cost? What cost? At what cost do you want to become successful? At what cost do you want to become abundant? Are we selling our souls in order to become abundant? That is what we need to think about. And in Asia, poverty is sometimes considered a blessing. And in certain places, people keep other people poor until they trust that the money they receive will not be misused. What is the reason of being misused? They may use it for different things, for maybe having drugs, or for having marijuana, for tobacco, for alcohol, for many other things. They can misuse it and harm themselves and others as well. For building bombs, making bombs, for destroying themselves and others. That is what money is used for. And that is not harmlessness. And it is a very strange concept for Westerners. In Asia, they do not give money to inexperienced hands or to those who have an inclination towards crimes. And as they in the West do not give weapons to their children. And the devas always watch us, my dear friends. If our karma agrees to something, something comes to us. And if you misuse it, it will be taken away from us. Do we give a knife to a in a child's hand? Does a child know how to use a knife? An infant. Do we give a knife to an infant's hand, my dear friends? So a child or an infant doesn't know how to handle a knife. The child can harm themselves and can harm others also because the child does not know what it is, first of all, what a knife is. And that child does not know how to use that knife. So what as a parent I should do? I will take the knife away from the child's hand. And when he grows up, then I will give that knife to him so that he can cut vegetables. Because then he will have that intelligence, that wisdom, that sense of harmlessness, that a knife is only meant to cut vegetables, not otherwise. And let us be mindful over here, saying that if we misuse something, it will be taken away from us. Anything, any gift that you receive, anything that you receive as a part of your karma, you will be given. You will be given a lot of things. You will give yourself those gifts that you deserve. But what you do with it, if you misuse it, it will be taken away from you. And harmfulness has increased in our cities and in our public businesses, offices and politics to such a degree that from a spiritual viewpoint, the bankruptcy of humanity is only a few years away. And inflation and depression are indications that we as one humanity did not have the inner abundance of harmlessness. And harmful competition and aggressive greed has brought us to the edge of the abyss. And again, we can repeat that unless we have inner abundance, our material abundance works against our own survival. Inner abundance, my dear friends. Isn't that so beautiful? If we make our soul rich, what else do we want? We don't have to take workshops in every incarnation as to how to create abundance, how to attract money, how to attract great relationships, how to attract a good career. We have to go through every life, going through such workshops and get money, misuse it, and again fall into the trap. Why? Why all that? Then we can have all these 12 treasures, 12 badges in our soul, eternally abundant. And the ninth virtue, my dear friends, we come to the ninth treasure, which is the sense of compassion. Sense of compassion is very important. Compassion is an energy which evokes all hidden potentials in man and in each living form. And as the sun shines upon the buds and they open and unfold, so does compassion make the hidden beauty, the hidden potential in which each living form manifests and unfolds. And in the presence of a compassionate person, one feels free, released, radioactive, and creative, my dear friends. Don't you want to be that person? A compassionate person. Don't you want to be that? Don't you want the people who come around you to feel really beautiful, amazing, radioactive, free around you? Don't you want to become that flower? And compassion evokes striving, trust, and inclusiveness, my dear friends. It does. And a compassionate person never uses his resources to humiliate, belittle, or destroy people. If we are really compassionate, we will not humiliate others. We will not belittle others, or we will not try to attempt to destroy other people, my dear friends. If really compassion is in us. And on the contrary, the compassionate person uses all his resources to help the improvement of life continue without major setbacks. And compassion is a great, great, great moving force for the welfare of everyone, my dear friends. And compassion is a protective force for the universe. It is the mother of the created universe. It is the mother of the created universe. This earth has compassion, my dear friends. You have been created out of compassion. You yourself are a living, moving miracle. And those who have compassion spread beauty, protection, and trust. Compassion is a great treasure of the human soul, my dear friends. And compassion is the greatest source of joy and ecstasy. Compassion is the ability to see great potentials in all living forms and the ability to act in such a way that those potentials grow, unfold, and reveal themselves. And what else does compassion do? Compassion loves and cherishes all that exists, and one cannot be in abundance if the elements of abundance have been rejected or misused. What great compassion we must develop for all that exists. And Tonka Saratarian gives an example over here. At the age of 9, when he was leaving home for a school, he said to his father, I do not know whether I will see you again or not, but how are you going to help me if I need money? Then the father said, well, I will give you some, and when you spend it all, somehow you will have money. The daughter sir said, are you going to mail me money or what exactly are you going to do? Then the father said, no, I will not. You will have the money and I'm sure. Dorcas says, how? And his father says, in all my life, my compassion makes me help people without expectation or reward. And because of this, I have an account in God's bank. And when you need it, in some way, it will come to you. What greater bank can be there more than God's bank? Is there any greater bank than that? And Dorcas says, I like these words because they gave me trust in the invisible laws of the universe. We talk about trust. We talk about universe. But do you really trust the universe? Do you really have faith in the universe that it will support you? It will help you. It will give you what you need. Do we really trust the universe? Do you really trust the universe? And strangely enough, he never lacked any money. All that he needed came, and even when he could not expect it. And all we do in compassion is never lost. You may think that, oh, nobody's watching me. How will anyone know what I need? And it is a treasure in God's bag ready to be used at the time of need. And compassion is a great source of great abundance. And people are eventually coming to the conclusion that righteousness rules the life. And the law of righteousness, which sometimes is called the law of cause and effect, on karma, never errs in its operation. Humans may do mistake, but karma never does a mistake. Never. And you cannot enjoy things for which you did not labor, or things which you were gathered by dishonest means. A person may make $5,000 by cheating people and pays it by cutting his leg in an accident. Another makes an extra $120,000 by dishonest means and pays $200,000 for a cancer operation. And if thorough research is done, a complete book of evidence will reveal that the law takes back from you for that which does not really belong to you. But we pay back through such subtle ways that we do not see the operation of the law. Law of karma, law of cause and effect. And all kinds of success or failure that delay our evolution or retribution by difference. And anything that blocks our spiritual growth is a punishment. Have you ever felt punished? What do you think that is? Why am I being punished for something that I did not do? Really? You do not do anything to deserve that punishment? You didn't do anything to deserve that punishment? Nobody's just like that punished, isn't it? Everything has a reason. And Torkan knew a man who stole $50,000. And 6 months later, his wife, who was an extreme beauty, left him and he went into a 2-year depression using drugs and alcohol. And another man made half $500,000 and lost all his joy in his family. And if this law is scientifically to be searched and obeyed, you will see great change in our society, and we will also see the emergence of new values. The most important thing is that not the amount of your richness, but how much of that wealth you truly enjoy sharing with others. And by what means have you earned that money? The means does not justify the ends, my dear friends. So that is the ninth treasure of spiritual abundance. Then we come to the 10th treasure, my dear friends. The next spiritual treasure is the will to sacrifice, or the sense of sacrifice. Sacrifice is a very, very important thing. And what does it mean to sacrifice? Is it going to Kashi and leaving something that you do not like? Is that called sacrifice? Everyone does that. You go and, drench in the river Ganga and you say, oh my God, I have done so many wrong things. Please let me go wrong things. I will, dip myself in the holy Ganges water 3 times and let all my wrongdoings go away, flow away with the Ganges. And in return to that, I will leave my favorite Rasagula. It doesn't work like that. To sacrifice means to transmit the will and purpose of the Almighty life through human thoughts, emotions, words, and deeds. To sacrifice means to have the moments in your life in which you are no longer interested in yourself, but you are interested in the welfare of others. That is sacrifice, isn't it? Oh my God, should I not think about myself at all? You can think about yourself a little, but majorly about others. And the sacrificial nature becomes a storehouse of divine wealth because God manifests through those whose egoism is annihilated in the fire of sacrifice. Can you give up your ego? If you give up your ego, you will be less selfish. And money and abundance are great blessings in the hands of a sacrificial person. And if you begin to think about the well-being of others rather than the well-being of your own self, you are entering into the path of sacrifice. And to sacrifice means to strive continuously and steadily to higher values, to greater freedom, to large fields of harmony and unity. And a person who cannot sacrifice cannot expand. If you can't sacrifice, you cannot expand. And expansion is possible only when we sacrifice our limitations. What are your limitations? This is today's exercise, my dear friends. Find out your limitations. And what are the limitations that are stopping you from expanding yourself? How are you limiting yourself? Physically, emotionally, mentally, and spiritually, how are you limiting yourself? This is the one exercise that we need to work on today. What are your limitations? How are you limiting yourself? Thoughts, emotions, beliefs, past, future, crystallizations of thoughts. It can be anything. Stuck emotions, pain, suffering, wounds, ecstasy, pleasure, desires. It can be anything. How are you limiting yourself? And our limitations are sacrificed when we do things for others at the expense of our limitations. And sacrifice opens the path for manifestation of your inner core of beauty, goodness, truth, and simplicity. And the ability to sacrifice is a great treasure in our lives, my dear friends. And the things that you received without paying for are your debts, your burdens. And the things that you gave away are a credit for you. And in your darkest hours, your credit saves you. Those are on your savings, my dear friends. You have a savings account. So is your savings account full? Are you putting something in your savings account? Yes or no? And people must not have more than what they are worthy of. And a very subtle instrument is needed to know about the degree of worthiness of ourselves and others. And nature works out on that problem for us in such a way that we are not worthy of something that we have. it turns into a problem for us or an obstacle in our progress. And nature has very subtle ways to keep our balance sheet, but it is always accurate. So, my dear friends, get this straight in your mind that abundance and prosperity are based on natural laws. No one finds themselves in abundance and enjoys it fully if one does not merit it, earn it, and if that person is not going to use it for the service of others. And otherwise, abundance is a curse for the person who lives in it. This is what abundance is, my dear friends. One might think that getting money is very easy, or maybe it is difficult. But how to become truly abundant? And the next spiritual treasure, my dear friends, is the sense of gratitude. Are we grateful for the things that we have? Are we grateful for the people that we have in our lives? Our friends, our family, the house we have, the food we have on our plate, the money that we have in our pockets, the healthy body that we are traveling in, the people who helped us, the people who did not help us. Are we all grateful towards them? Are we grateful to the persons who taught us many things, our gurus? Do we take everyone for granted? Do we take everything for granted? Or do we feel grateful for them? That is what we need to think about. And gratitude is a moment of recollection of all the moments in which you enjoyed beauty, goodness, truth, protection, food, sunshine, and other blessings of life. Do you feel gratitude for nature, for providing you everything that you need? Are you grateful to Mother Earth, to nature, to the laws of nature? And gratitude is a moment when you turn your face toward greater light, greater labor, and greater sacrifice. And gratitude is a moment when you share all that you have with those who are in need of it. And gratitude is the foundation upon which all endeavors are built. And a person who is full of gratitude tries his best to make people enjoy the blessings of life. Patriji used to enjoy everything that has been put on his plate. And what do I mean by putting on his plate? Anything, an experience, food, or anything that was given to him, he said yes to it. He always encourages everyone to say, yes, I take this. Why do you think anything comes to you, presented to you? Because you need to say yes, take it. That is how opportunities are given to you. And they'll test whether you take it or not, whether you can accept that condition or not, that situation. And Torkham says that, I remember a rich man who helped a young student to go to medical school and graduate as a doctor. And actually, he paid all the school and other related expenses in a very generous manner. And years later, the young student was a wonderful doctor. And when he began to make money, he collected 3 very bright but poor students who intended to be physicians and sent them to medical school, paying all their expenses. This doctor was so happy being able to help 3 people. And years later, these 3 doctors were great sources of unending joy for him. And imagine what a grateful man can do with all his money, and how gratitude attracts money. To know that, to those who give will be given. Mark these words in your notes, my dear friends. To those who give will be given, not the other way around. Only when you're given, you give. No. To give, to those who give, will be given. That is the law of nature. And gratitude to the whole life creates a great stream of abundance flowing into your life. And be grateful to the sun, to the stars, to the planets, to all nature. And you will see that if you're really feeling grateful for the whole existence, you create such a magnetic aura around yourself that all beneficial forces want to help you and to bless you. There is I remember the dialogue from Om Shanti Om movie, शाहरुख खान सिंग्स, अगर तुम सच्चे दिल से कुछ भी चाहो तो पूरा कायनात आपको उससे मिलाने से कोई नहीं कुछ नहीं रोक सकता. If you really think something from a pure heart, the universe will come down to help you. And what does it require? A pure heart. When was the last time you said thanks to the stars, to the planet, to Mother Earth, to nature, to animals, to yourself, to everything and everyone you have in your life? When was the last time you did it? To your family, to your parents, to your country, to the world. When was the last time you said thanks? And then if you really pay gratitude, then you will see that if you're really feeling grateful for the whole existence, you will create a magnetic aura around you. And gratitude is the key to the treasury of the subjective and the objective nature. And now, my dear friends, we come to the last treasure of spiritual abundance, which is the sense of striving. Striving, my dear friends. What is striving? Striving means working hard, inner labor, mental labor, emotional labor, physical labor, spiritual labor. That is called as striving. And the spirit of striving makes you move forward from wherever you are on the ladder of your beauty, success, or compassion. And the striving person opens many long doors of success. A striving person uses his money for the advancement and improvement of life. Just consider yourself for this at this moment right now. What do you use your money for? You have 1 lakh rupees in your bank account. What are you using that money for? Has the money been given to you to only use for yourself? A striving person uses his money for the advancement and improvement of life, not just your life. And a striving person inspires people to make efforts to pass their present level of achievement. A striving person uses his resources to break all limitations and enter into the higher paths of perfection. Are you a striving person? Do you strive? Or do we have physical inertia, emotional inertia, mental inertia, spiritual inertia? What is inertia? Inertia is called laziness. And that is why Patri ji asked everyone to give up garlic, because it increases your mental inertia. If you want to remove the mental inertia, remove garlic from your plates, from your food. And start reading books. Start learning, start acquiring knowledge and turn it into wisdom. That is how you challenge your mental inertia. And how do you master your emotional body? By keeping what is necessary and deleting what is not necessary. You keep the necessary emotions, you take out the unnecessary emotions. There's no negative or positive here. What works for you, keep. What doesn't work for you, just remove it. As simple as that. If there's a buffet of food presented in front of you, and if you don't like bitter gourd, which is called kareya, kakarkaya, if I don't like that bitter gourd, then I won't eat it, isn't it? I will just skip it because I don't like it. I don't need it. In that way, you can choose your emotions. Keep only what you need, what you require, and delete all the unnecessary emotions. What works for you? What works for your evolution? You keep only that and remove all the other things. Do you like hatred? Keep it. You don't like hatred? Don't choose it. Every moment is a choice for all of us to choose this or this. And you can't say that the other person made me choose this. That never happens. How can anyone else be responsible for your choosing? So, my dear friends, a person who is rich with all these 12 treasures is destined to be the richest and the most helpful person in the world. And these 12 sources of abundance will enable you to be rich mentally, emotionally, and physically, and help you to use your wealth for the common good. And outer riches are the reflection of your inner richness. And if outer richness is accumulated at the expense of your inner richness, you are on the path of self-destruction. And every kind of wealth that is not the flowering of the inner richness becomes your own enemy. And this is what happened to the great empires which raised themselves to the sky and then in a short time fell down in ruins. Read the story of Atlantis. You must know your history. When you read your history, you will know what happened and why certain empires had a downfall and how certain empires had a rise. Read your history, my dear friends. They will teach you a lot of things. And this history of humanity is a living demonstration of these facts, my dear friends. And that is what, my dear friends, spiritual abundance is for all of you. These 12 treasures need to be cultivated in our hearts, and that is how you become spiritually abundant. And then we will continue with mental and emotional abundance as well. So I would like to ask you to please work on yourself on all these spiritual abundance points, the sense of beauty, sense of universality, direction, righteousness, purity, joy and enthusiasm, service, harmlessness, compassion, sacrifice, gratitude, and striving, my dear friends. Please work on all these aspects so that you become spiritually abundant. I wish that everyone becomes abundant in all the aspects and you become rich. The most beautiful person to be abundant. I wish everyone abundance, great success, great joy, great abundance, great prosperity. I wish everyone all these things. Thank you so much, everyone, for coming in here and learning the rest of the 6 spiritual aspects of abundance.